If we take a look at the HTML template, we'll see a widget with content that can't really be created by one of the existing widgets. So we'll have to create our own, where we'll make a custom query to grab the latest 6 blog entries or portfolio items, however you want to call them, and display their thumbnails in a grid. So let's begin. Now, creating a widget is not very difficult. In fact, I've just created the widget-recent-projects.php file, which is responsible for actually registering the widget that we need, and is placed inside the include/widgets folder in my theme folder. Now, I've already written this, and I'm going to walk you through each section and explaining what it does and why you need to follow this structure. We start at the top with some plugin information. Plugin name, URI, description. Yeah, all of this will be reflected in the widgets page. Next, we have the main definition. So our widget is basically an extension of the WP widget class. And so we're going to use 4 functions to create it. The first one is the construct function. This is where you initialize it, basically. You give it an ID, you give it a title, and then a class name if you want it to be displayed next to the widget class, and then a description. Next, you have the form function. The form function will actually generate the layout or the backend layout for the widget. It's the layout that you see in the WordPress backend in the widgets page. Here we define some defaults. Our widget just has a single property, title. Then here, what we're doing with this WP parse args function is we're taking the defaults and the values that we have from the instance passed to this function, and we're basically merging them. If instance doesn't have certain fields, we use the default values. Then we display the field. In our case, we just need a field for the title. So we do paragraph, label, and then input. And then the next function is update. Now, update will be triggered when we save that widget. So what it's going to do is going to take the new instance on the old instance, and it's going to take the values from the old instance and update them with the ones from the new instance. Of course, following strip tag, strip slashes, just to make sure our inputs are sanitized correctly and no harmful content can be entered via those fields. And then we return instance, which basically means we return the updated values. And finally, it's the widget function, which will output the content of the widget in the front end, so on the actual page. First of all, we have 2 arguments for this function, args and instance. We're only really interested in instance here. So what we'll do is we take the title from the instance, we display the before widget, which is the stuff that we defined in functions PHP. Let's see right here. So we display this first. And then if we have a title, we display before title, the title itself, and after title, again, values that we defined here. And then to display our widget, we need to get the most recent 6 projects. In here, that's what Query uses, right? So we get the most recent 6 projects by creating a custom query. We define some arguments, and then we say query equals new WP query with these arguments. So category -1 means we don't get posts from the uncategorized category, which has the 1 ID. We order them by date to make sure we get the most recent ones, and we set 6 posts per page, which means we only get 6 of them. Next, if we have posts in our query, we define a row. And by the way, this is the markup that Core used. And then while our query has posts, we load the post. And then we get the post thumbnail large and we make it responsive. We can also get it small here, or thumbnail. I just set it to large for when we are viewing the site on a mobile display. We end the while, we end the if from here, and we display the after widget. Finally, we gotta register the widget, just like we did with some of our other custom functions. We tie it to the widget's init function. So now when WordPress registers the default widgets, it also registers our own widget. So now the only thing that's really left to do here is to go here. What is this, number 7? And we'll simply say require once, get template directory, and we'll simply point WordPress to our widget file here. Include /widgets/ the name of our widget file. So now if we go back to the backend here, and we go to widgets and we refresh, we'll see a custom one, Tuts recent projects, the description, and then we can drag it onto our sidebar here. We can give it a custom title if we want. And then on refresh, we're going to see our latest 6 projects. And if we click one of them, it's going to take us to the page for that single post. And that's how you create a custom widget. Now, ours is very simple, but using those 4 functions, you can create any type of widget that you want. Now, speaking of custom things, let's turn our attention to the home page. That's coming up next.